Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Friday night. The weekend is upon us. Hope everyone's having a good one out there. 10:42 p.m. California time, January 31st, 2025, February 1st day tomorrow. Earthquake activity, let's go ahead and check this out. Latest earthquake shows a 2.8 on the earthquake 3D globe across the area of just outside of Turkey here along the plate boundary. Got quite a bit of swarming going on here in the last couple days. Let's go ahead and check out California, where we got our own swarm going on here across the San Andreas Fault. That is along the creeping segment. Looks like just around the Santa Cruz Mountain section down into the creeping section. Got a pretty good cluster of earthquakes here in the last 24 hours. Got about 12 of them with mini twos and a bunch of ones in there as well. Let's see what we got for total tally. About 13 earthquakes or so. The largest, a 2.4 in that sequence of events, and the latest, a 2-pointer there. Again, along the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault. That is an obvious sign here that we got some plate movement in process. So we got to watch the areas in the locked region. A couple earthquakes here around the San Francisco area. Some type of explosion down there across the South Bay area. But aside from that, a couple of smaller quakes here in the one range earlier this morning. The rest of Northern California, a little spotty. Nothing major going on. One little 2.7. Actually, it looks like a little bit of activity stirring up underneath Lake Almanor. Very shallow earthquake activity in the mid to upper 2 range. Northern California here across the coast, a 2.4. Fairly deep underneath this area, about 16 miles deep or so. Let's double check the Cascadia subduction zone tremor real quick. We'll get to space weather activity here in a minute. If I click the right one, there we go. Wow, not that big of a deal. Only 27 epicenters here of tremor across the Washington area and Northern California. So not a whole lot of tremor activity happening. The rest of the Pacific Northwest relatively quiet. So if we look at Southern California here, can't leave out Long Valley supervolcano. Things starting to stir up out here south of the Caldera region with a 2.7 in the last hour or so, along with some previous earthquakes here. I believe that's just stress related out here against the Sierra Nevada mountains. Nothing to do with specifically that volcano. Line of earthquake activity there across the western Nevada region. Southern California here, a little spotty. Nothing major going on. 2.5 map pretty much removes all the earthquakes except for one last night with that 2.9 outside of Santa Barbara. The San Andreas Fault continues to sleep. Let's hope it stays that way. Yellowstone National Park, nothing going on up there, but let's just give a quick little review on the Yellowstone seismograph stations, which are pretty quiet tonight, aside from some wind events showing up out there on the dark blue thick lines. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity. There's a couple earthquakes there earlier, late last night, early this morning, but really things are back to being normal in terms of any earthquake activity. Not a whole lot showing up there across the area of Yellowstone National Park. Colorado, 2.1 here in the last hour, just outside of Trinidad. If I remember right, there's some type of fields out here. Well, obviously there's fields, right? These look like people that just don't want to be bothered out there, and that's okay. I wouldn't mind being out there myself. But around this region, I know there's some type of some type of solar farm up there. And I thought there were some oil fields out here in the vicinity. Either way, 2.1, fairly shallow earthquake there outside the Black Hills region of Colorado. Further out and about here, Texas oil fields, still seeing some earthquake activity. The rest of the country, a couple earthquakes from this morning. Nothing major going on out there. Let's go ahead and check out the largest magnitude here in the last 24 hours. Going to be that's 5.8 down there across the Sumatra area, northern edge of the Java Trench. Aside from that, 5.5 over here around Ecuador. Nothing major going on. Just a typical plate tectonics here in motion. Pretty good trail of events, as you can see there across the plate boundary. That swarm going on out here across the Western Turkey area. Nothing big, just a bunch of 2s and 3s. Not for sure exactly what's going on out there. Let me double check here from the EMSC model. Pull this up here real quick, see what we have. Pretty well defined out here in this region. Just a handful of earthquakes. I don't know if this is a volcanic activity or just strain related. Let's see here. Man, the EMSC model is just out of whack. It doesn't work like it should. I mean, really, come on. Terrain map, aerial map. There we go. That's kind of working a little bit at least. There is, looks like some type of volcano out there. Pretty close to that region. Definitely got a pretty interesting swarm of quakes out there. We'll have to continue to watch that. Nothing showing up here on the USGS map, but it's, see exactly where it's at. Kind of out here in the Sea of Crete area, I guess, is what it looks like right around this region. Just to the northeast of this area. All right, let's see. The Atlantic Ocean, pretty quiet. Nothing major going on if we look at the earthquake 3D globe. Some movement north of Iceland and Greenland with a 3.2, but things pretty quiet out there across the board in the Atlantic. There's that movement stirring up there in Ecuador with a swarm of aftershocks. Nothing major going on. Low clustering going on, it looks like, across the Middle America Trench. And again, just kind of keep an eye here on the West Coast. Things are starting to move with the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault. There's some activity filling in here across that seismic gap zone. I've been talking about this area over here along the Aleutian Trench. I think it was in my video last night and this morning. I kind of talked about the migrational pattern that's been going on here. Kind of halted right at this area, but if we look at the last 30 days, this has been absent of earthquake activity. It looks like it's starting to fill back in with the most recent 4.9. Still a little bit of a room left to spare here in terms of the seismic gap zone. We'll watch that overnight. Things may start to fill in some larger quake sequences there across that plate boundary. But pretty obvious. And it makes sense here with the general pattern here of the plate movement. This is the Aleutian Trench up here. When the Pacific plate moves, obviously you get... It seems as though the earthquake activity triggers up in this fashion and then works its way towards the west here, like we've seen in the last few days or so. Continue to keep an eye on it because it's been quite active up there across Alaska. Let's see here. Nothing. We got 1.8 up there north of Anchorage right now. New Zealand, nothing major going on. Still just sitting down there looking pretty. 3.4. A couple other 3s in there, but really nothing significant taking place for now. Nankai Trough up here looks like, towards the southern end here, got some deeper activity once again with a 4.6. That's going to be this earthquake right here. 95 miles deep here. Looks like it's just right at the southern end of the Nankai Trough area. Major subduction zone that's potentially getting ready to produce a mega quake. USGS reporting that as a 4.4. All right. Iran's still seeing a lot of activity out there. That is shown up here on the earthquake 3D globe. Nothing going on across the Ethiopia Rip boundary for now. Let's check out space weather activity. Things calming back down since that decent M flare, which did produce a CME. So let's go ahead and check out the the Aurora forecast. It looks like for the most part, some amplification there. KP index up around a 4. This is due to some high-speed solar wind stream here that's been coming out of a coronal hole. It's been flowing out of there. Takes a couple days here to get here to the planet, and looks like that's arriving tonight with some amplified conditions out there across Alaska and Canada area, but really not expecting anything, tremendous in terms of major solar storms. But where's that? Let's see here. By the way, flare threat 5%, M flare at 55. Quick glance here at the magnetogram imagery. still quite possible we could see some further inflare activity within any of this region here, as there's a lot of peppered cores out here indicating magnetic complexity. I want to look at the latest imagery here from the Space Weather Prediction Center. See if they've updated it. They haven't. So this is a current solar wind stream that's flown out of that coronal hole. It arrived tonight, could linger into tomorrow as well. Notice the density and whatnot kicking up. So, but nothing major for now in the forecast as far as aurora activity goes. All right, Storm Prediction Center, no major severe weather. California has a line of storms aimed at it, which is okay by me. Little break here where I'm at. I'm right there in that circle. Little rain shadow here in the Sacramento Valley. Goodness, excuse me. All right, that doesn't happen too often, but man, when it does, it does. All right, yeah, so rain coming back to the West Coast, aimed right at me. Here in Northern California, I'm okay with that. And we got a number of decent storm systems coming this way. Hard to say what's going to happen after, after these systems, but for the time being, we do have a decent amount of precipitation there aimed at Northern California, so we need it. Drought conditions, we're starting to slip back in there, and that's not good. So next 30 days, or not 30 days here, next couple weeks or so, some more moisture out there across a good portion of the eastern areas of the country. Pretty quiet out there across Arizona, Mexico area, Pacific Northwest. There's our rainfall. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Just want to keep this short and simple. Solomon Islands, they're seeing a little earthquake right now on that seismograph station. Let's see if it's showing up here on the globe. It's not yet. Let me refresh that, make sure. Negative. That would show up as the latest quake there, and I don't see anything yet. Hard to say. That might just be a localized earthquake to that seismograph station. Really not all that big. Because I really don't see anything showing up there across Solomon Islands area for now, but they may pop it on here in a minute or two. That's going to be this earthquake right here. All right, I'm out of here, folks. Have yourself a good evening. We'll catch you guys back out here in the morning for the Saturday morning update. Stay safe out there. Have a good night.